Here we have something commissioned by Medici. I don't know the entire story behind Medici, but he apparently is in the middle. What I love about this is that the two dominant characters are in those red, aggressive colors. Meanwhile, the guy with the sideways glance, who's maybe looking at them a little bit sheepishly or nervously, he's in that recessive blue, which makes him even more sheepish. It wouldn't have been the same with that aggressive red. Here we're looking at levels. I like this. Again, the eye always has somewhere to go, and in this case, it's going up. You know, you hear about depth, but there's no real depth here. It's all just done through vertical levels, which is, you know, something interesting to consider if you're trying to compose a photo or a film scene. That the eye doesn't have to go, you know, forward and back. It can also go straight up and down. Here we see again, especially the complementary colors, the reds, the blues, and the greens. So you've got the red on the left, and you've got the blue and the green on the right. The light coming from the side, giving those shadows and the definition. The light coming from the upstage side as the artist, or in our case, the camera, you know, would be on the downstage side. Here's a self-portrait of Raphael. A lot of these guys did self-portraits, maybe a little bit of stargazing on their part. The starring role. Lighting from the left. Camera's in the center, or the artist in the center, but lighting from the left. And just looking at what they could do 5 centuries ago, when they didn't have Nikons and Panasonics and whatever. All they had was their hands and a brush or maybe a chisel. It's just really, really cool stuff. This by Titian, where we get the word mortician, by the way. But anyway, this by Titian, the allegory of age governed by prudence, and the age taking place from right to left. Just unbelievable. The light straight on, that key light from the right side, straight on to that character on the right, over the face, and then the old man in darkness. So that one key light is what is lighting the scene in the way you'd light it in film. This one is interesting to me because I think that the light really is the character here in a way. It is providing places to look at. The center on the suffering man, I don't believe that's supposed to be Christ, but the light on the center, then on the left, then on the right statue, and then a little daub of light right there in the middle, in the top middle there. The light gives you places to look. Here, the big boy, Michelangelo, Sistine Chapel. I think this is the Last Judgment. I threw this in not only because it looks really good, but he pulls a bit of a Hitchcock here. If you think that only Hitchcock and directors like to be in their own works, that's Michelangelo's face on that husk of skin. So even back then, the artist couldn't help himself. You know, I did this. I'm in this. I'm going to put myself in this. Not unlike Hitchcock 5 centuries later, putting himself in his own movies. Michelangelo again, key light from the right side. Complementary colors here. There's a daub of red on the bottom right and on the top right in what might be a painting on the wall. Complemented with the green that the man is sitting on. So there's your complementary colors. Once again, they crop up all the time in artwork and in film, if you pay attention to it. Here's a guy that could have been Gordon Willis's best friend. This is Rembrandt. Decades after the passing of the Italian Renaissance guys. You can't look at his work and tell me that he wouldn't have had a field day being a director of photography in the movies. Just one key light, mainly coming onto his characters, especially in portraits. He greatly, effectively uses shadow. Here, I love this one because to me it's almost comical. It's like somebody flicked the lights on these guys because their eyes are all over the place. There's the two guys in the back looking straight at us. The mortician himself, or the anatomist himself, looking off in another direction. Everyone's helter-skelter looking around almost as if like, who flicked on the lights? I don't know the history behind this painting and I'm going to look it up, but it wouldn't surprise me if that's what maybe he was driving at, that were looking in on something they were trying to do in secret at that time. Here we have Rembrandt obviously wanting to be a director of photography using a practical, which is a light source that is in the scene. And it's a special effect. And it is the one key light on the scene. And I just love it that he's using a practical light centuries before you would have called it a practical, which is what it's known as in the movies. Here's Rembrandt's Night Watch. I like the key light on the two characters in the front, and then the woman in gold on the bottom left with her own key, bringing her out, making her part of the drama of the scene. You know, one thing that I like about the artist, they didn't use a lot of backlight and kickers like we have today, where if you watch television, especially TV, but in a lot of movies too, where you just know that the light is fake. Here, this light could be coming from some lanterns or something. There's no backlights and kickers to draw attention to itself. Here's a portrait that Rembrandt did again. Key light from the top left, the brim of the hat hiding the man's eyes in shadow. Key light drawing you down to his hands. But again, we also have the complementary colors. There's your green, there's your red. Happens all the time. It was going on hundreds of years ago, and it's going on today. You flick on CSI, you'll see it tonight. Here's a self-portrait of Rembrandt. Looking pretty plain, really. Looks like he's a young man. Maybe, I don't know when this was painted. I'm just guessing that he's just starting to play with shadow. He's obviously not a bright light kind of guy in his work. So that's why I say he would have loved Gordon Willis from Godfather fame. If you were to flick on The Godfather, or even Road to Perdition, this is the light that you'll find. Compare that to this self-portrait years later, and I think you'll see that things have changed. He's really gotten to using light as shadow. You know, I just wish he was still around. I wish he was making movies today, because he's got the touch before they even had movie cameras and lights. Don't know what he would have done with lights, but it would have been something. Here we have Rembrandt's The Blinding of Samson, using what we would call today exterior light, the tent flaps flipping back. Remember, nothing happens in a story or a scene without, or shouldn't happen without conflict. Well, here you go. And you have the guard in red, aggressive colors, the spear pointing down, the victim in the more weaker, recessive greens. Light coming from the left, artist to the right. It's just wonderful. Here we have, if you go out and rent Paul Newman's The Verdict or see it sometime, you can't tell me that the filmmakers didn't look at this when coming up with their lighting scheme. You see this in a lot of courtroom dramas, that kind of seedy light coming from the left there. What are these guys up to? It's not going to go very well for the defendant. I don't think this was exactly a courtroom scene, but certainly it looks like one, and this lighting is seen in a lot of courtroom scenes. All right, so we're back. I hope we learned a little bit of something looking at them. Look for inspiration from anywhere, and don't let anybody tell you that you need to go to like classes and things like that. Look around you. If you want inspiration, you can draw it from 500 years ago. Just go down to the museum, go down to the art gallery, and take a look. The masters showed us how to do a lot of this stuff hundreds of years ago. So that's all for now, and I hope it was a little bit interesting, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.